and welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. I'm your host, Boyd Pearson. Lots of exciting action coming up. We'll see the return for the first time since his recent injury here on television appearance of Ted DiBiase as he takes on the man responsible for that injury, Bob Roop. Also, the mercenary and legendary General Skandar Akbar adds another man to his army in the person of Hacksaw Duggan coming against Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch. They'll be on the card. Also, I'd like to tell you before we get into the matches, I have a personal congratulations to my good friend and a friend of all wrestling in the person of Mr. Charlie Lay, who recently, as a board meeting of our board of directors, elected him as our current president of Mid-South Sport. He's highly regarded, former great professional wrestler, and highly referee. So we add our congratulations to Charlie Lay. Cowboy Bill Watts is always welcome at our table. He's our guest commentator. Bill, before I turn it over to you, I'd like to remind you that be rigid enforcement, of course, of our guest commentators because of what's happened here lately. We go over the rules from time to time, and we don't whenever somebody comes back for the second time because they agree, but no way can you interfere or participate with any match. If you do, you'll be subject to stiff penalty. With that, we welcome you.
Well, thank you, Boyd, and I know what you're referring to. Some 6 weeks ago, Dusty Rhodes was baited right here on Mid-South Wrestling by Bob Roop and jumped in to answer a challenge. Dusty's never been one to back down from any challenge, and he was then jumped by Paul Orndorff, and he kind of got roughed up, and then on the short end of it, he got a $2,500 fine for breaking that rule. And everybody thought maybe it was a raw deal, but rules are rules, and certainly when somebody's here as your guest commentator and you're hosting the program, they have to understand that they are eliminated from all action in the ring. As for myself, it's not very hard. The guys are getting younger, tougher, and stronger, and the fires of desire as far as one-on-one combat with me don't burn quite as bright anymore. I enjoy sitting with you here and commentating it. And talking about top young athletes, Skandar Akbar's got a former All-American football player from SMU, a former specialty team and nose guard for the Atlanta Falcons, the member of that Suicide Squad, as Hacksaw Duggan here with one purpose in mind: to revenge for the General the tremendous, not only a blow to the General's pride, but a pretty stiff blow to his head administered by the old Marine Dick Murdoch. And so that's one of the highlights. But let's hear Skandar Akbar talking about Hacksaw Duggan in an interview pre-taped by Reeser Bowden.
As you well know, General Skandar Akbar has a formidable stable of athletes under his control, and now he's added another man who will meet Dick Murdoch right here later today in this program in a special challenge match.
First of all, everybody saw what happened 2 weeks ago with Captain Redneck, and nobody walks the face of the earth that puts their hands on the General and brags about it. Let me introduce Hacksaw Duggan, a man that was at the top in American collegiate and professional football. They call him Hacksaw because he doesn't stop. Just one look at this man, and you know how mean and raunchy and nasty that he can get, and he'll do it all for $1,000. Hacksaw Duggan, remember the name. You'd better remember Murdoch if you're listening.
But with all the big and nasty and vicious men that you already have in your stable, why do you feel the necessity to bring somebody else in to do the job?
Why should I risk anybody in my stable getting injured when this man is crazy enough, if I may say, mean enough, nasty enough to do it, as I've said before, for $1,000? Just some of my managerial genius. Listen and listen good, Captain Redneck. If Mid-South wants to offer you sanctuary and protect you, I'll take matters in my own hands, and I will do so.
And you'll see it all right here on this program later today as Hacksaw Duggan meets Dick Murdoch in a special challenge match.
Well, Hacksaw Duggan built a reputation for himself in the National Football League, and anybody knows that if you're on those specialty teams game after game, you got to be dedicated and a little bit loose in the head because it's a real blind shot situation going down. So Akbar, knowing this young man wants to make a name for himself, he certainly hired him and given him the opportunity here today. Another man, a man of fame, a man that's been known for his intrigue, formerly managed by Rock Hunter, a formidable opponent, a knowledgeable wrestling man, and a man who double-crossed Ernie Ladd at the beckon of money by Akbar, the assassin. And that's the next one. Let's go to the ring for Reeser Bowden's first introduction.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 255 pounds from parts unknown, the assassin. And in the blue corner at 218 pounds from Houston, Texas, Tony Torres.
There's the introduction, and on the far corner, the man dressed in black with the...
I hope that Ernie Ladd is within sound of my voice, because I know that Ernie Ladd's very upset over what's happened. But after all, Mr. Ladd, I did what I did for money. Now, I've fallen under a great deal of criticism from a lot of people have written me saying that I did the wrong thing. But I want each and every one of you people out there in the viewing audience to sit down and search your soul and ask yourselves, if you were put in my position and offered the kind of money that I was offered, wouldn't you have done the same thing? That's all I got to say.
You be the judge.
Well, the assassin better figure out whether he's here to talk or here to wrestle. There's portions of Mid-South Wrestling that are set aside for interview time, but those portions when you're in the ring are set aside for wrestling. And of course, Tony Torres, knowing that the assassin and by reputation and by watching him, figured to go ahead and try to take advantage of him. The assassin's just too big and strong for Tony to gain the 3 count. As I say, the assassin formerly managed by Rock Hunter, but always, even though Rock Hunter was the manager, the assassin was the team leader. There he's got a real tight wound half Nelson there. You'll notice inside he's got the chin under control into a front face lock. Here's a man that we really pulled probably the most treacherous move I've seen, and that he and Ernie Ladd were scheduled to meet Afonseca here 2 weeks ago. And the assassin announced that, Ernie, you pay good money, and I came because you paid the money, but somebody else has offered me more. It was Skandar Akbar, and all I have to do to gain that money is to walk out on you now. And Ernie was so frustrated, and he screamed at him, well, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did you wait till now? And he said, well, that's for me personally. I just wanted to see you made a fool of here on TV. And the assassin left Ladd. Ladd went and got a partner, Iron Mike Sharp, and Big Mike and Ernie Ladd were giving it to the Afonseca pretty heavy. The assassin came back into it, and then Paul Orndorff came into it. So there's a really volatile situation here with the assassin and Big Ernie Ladd. And of course, Ernie Ladd's main goal is the one-man gang and at Skandar Akbar and Afonseca. Grapevine and a half Nelson.
And the assassin gains the victory over young Tony Torres, and the Big Cat Ernie Ladd in action when we return after this word from Mid-South Wrestling.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner, at 290 pounds from Houston, Texas, Larry Higgins. And in the blue corner, at 327 pounds, also from Houston, Texas, former North American heavyweight champion Ernie Ladd.
Larry Higgins in the long white tights being introduced, followed by the Big Cat in the purple tights, Ernie Ladd. Alfred Neely called for the bell. Here's Bill.
Well, Racer, Ernie Ladd's a man with a purpose. And, you know, without a doubt, probably one of the most formidable opponents in the ring, and one of the most formidable men ever in any professional sport, dominating both the pro football field as a defensive tackle, Hall of Famer for San Diego Chargers, and dominating it in wrestling. This came off of about 6 weeks off with a tremendous amount of knee surgery, first time probably ever through the arthroscope surgery in Columbus, Georgia, was ever shown on a national TV program, sports program. But Ernie's back. A lot of people wonder if it's too soon. Next thing they wonder if at Ernie's age, if, you know, what the knee is going to recover like it did when he was younger. But I'll say one thing about Ernie Ladd. I've never seen a man his size with that much heart. Generally, you got the big heart and the littler athlete, but Ernie Ladd's got just as much heart as his size. And he's a man that's motivated because he feels that he was double-crossed by Skandar Akbar and now the assassin. And you got to recall that, or realize that a man that's 6'9", 320, he has a head start on you anyway. So this man is, and he's got all these tremendous years of experience in championship caliber events. And this makes a big, big difference in a man as far as being able to psychologically take the tremendous pressure in any sport. Gives him a big edge on his opponents, and that he has the knowledge. So sometimes what you lose a little in loss of the quickness of the step or of the youth, you make up for with a tremendous amount of experience. As Larry Higgins, who is a big, powerful young man, is finding out from the Grand Master right out there. And that right there, that guillotine type move, that'll put anybody away. And there's Ernie Ladd counting him down.
Ernie Ladd with another victory to his long string through the years. We'll be right back after this important message.
March 17th, 1982, I'm sure will live for a long time in the mind of Ted DiBiase, also in Paul Orndorff, because that was the day that Paul Orndorff was selected by Grizzly Smith as the #1 contender to wrestle Ted DiBiase for the North American title. However, Bob Roop and Paul Orndorff and Skandar Akbar kind of had a meeting of the minds, and they'd laid a trap for young Ted DiBiase, because I'll tell you why, bluntly, none of them could beat him. And then Bob Roop double-crossed his own crew, and at least in my opinion and the opinion of most people, had sabotaged Paul Orndorff's car, because he certainly, Boyd Pierson, when I looked at the films, knew when he was talking to you pretty well that Paul Orndorff wasn't going to be there. And then Bob Roop got that match and implemented the plan that he had with Akbar with the one-man gang, and Ted DiBiase lost the North American title and was off 6 weeks with stretched ligaments in his knee. Let's join the final moments of that once again, because I'm sure Ted DiBiase is going to remember it forever.
The thing that impresses me a lot about Bob Roop is that he's always thinking. He's a very strict tactician in the ring, much like a very intelligent coach like Tom Landry, the Dallas Cowboys. His game plan is always set before he gets in the ring. He's a very intelligent man. There it looks like he's going for the shoulder breaker, but DiBiase has got some plans of his own. Great power slam. DiBiase with a power slam.
Hang on, if he lock it in.
If he locks it in, boy, it may be all over right here. Let's watch if he can escape. He's the man that patented the escape. Let's see how it works out.
There he comes, giving it all he's got.
Roop's trying to reverse the leverage. Roop has reversed the leverage, and now the leverage is on the leg of Ted DiBiase. DiBiase's face, I noticed in the monitor, look at the contortion of DiBiase's face. He is at the hands of Roop now with his figure 4. DiBiase has got to get back on his back. He has got to get back on his back to gain the advantage.
And the challenger all the time applying that much-needed pressure.
Both these men are in tremendous physical condition, but Ted DiBiase, to get the advantage, to become the aggressor again, has got to turn him over, and there he does. Now DiBiase's got the advantage. Roop goes to the ropes. Now the referee has got to break the hold, which he does. The referee, Alfred Neely, doing a fine job breaking the hold.
Bob Roop done a fine job of saving that match when he grabbed that steel cable on the bottom strand to cause it to be broken. And there you see Alfred Neely slammed outside the ring on the cement floor.
The referee has hit the concrete floor. The referee has hit the concrete floor, and DiBiase has taken a lot of punishment on that leg.
As a one-man gang, Jim,
The one-man
followed by
gang.
Akbar, who's giving the directions.
454 pounds, Boyd. He is really wrenching that leg. Look at DiBiase's face.
That is a
DiBiase,
steel ring post. You've seen him wrapping it around.
he's trying to break DiBiase's leg. All
Referee on the far side, he's
454
still out.
pounds.
Alfred Neely, the referee, unable to see anything, being thrown out on the far side. Now you see Roop now, as he himself goes for the finishing hold. If he can hold it, the injured Ted DiBiase really being worked over by the one-man gang.
Roop looks very confident at this point. DiBiase has sustained an unbelievable amount of pressure from General Skandar Akbar's one-man gang. DiBiase, you can hear him, Boyd, all the way over here. He's yelling in pain. This match it's on the line right here for Ted DiBiase. It's on the line right here. And Roop has got the whole of the figure 4 locked in. DiBiase may be unconscious. DiBiase's out.
Alfred Neely called for the bell.
The referee has stopped the match. Boy, it looks like this could be a very unique situation. The referee has stopped the match.
He gets the bell. What'll he do with it?
The referee's decision goes to Bob Roop. The referee's decision stopping the match to hopefully prevent permanent injury to Ted DiBiase. And right here in Mid-South, Boyd, we've got a new Mid-South, new North American champion.
That's right, and everybody but the referee saw what happened. The big man, the one-man gang, under the direction of Skandar Akbar, is responsible.
Well, Boyd Pierce, that event that just happened, had I been a guest commentator or any other wrestler, that's when you would really have to test yourself to be able to sit here and take it. And of course, again, even though it was on tape and it's perfectly visible, there's no way Mid-South can reverse a decision or change the outcome by a videotape replay, just as the National Football League cannot recall a touchdown or recall a penalty infraction. It just goes in the book as a win, but everybody saw what happened. Let's go to the ring right now because Ted DiBiase is going to be able to tell Bob Roop in physical terms just how disappointed he was.
This is a non-title event for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 252 pounds from Blacksburg, Virginia, the North American heavyweight champion, Bob Roop. And in the blue corner, also at 252 pounds from Omaha, Nebraska, former North American heavyweight champion, Ted DiBiase.
Bob Roop introduced now, shedding his jacket, and also the introduction of Ted DiBiase, who, by the way, Bill, will be my guest commentator here on Mid-South Wrestling next week.
Ted DiBiase is a great one. He's a good spokesman for wrestling. He's a great athlete, and you can see he's a determined man. He's champing at the bit. And Bob Roop, I think understandably, is a little bit cautious there because Bob Roop almost knows that he has stolen that title. There's no doubt in his mind. You know, Paul Orndorff was never able to beat DiBiase, and neither was Roop. And yet through this subterfuge, Roop in on a single leg, went for a fireman's carry, switched off to a single leg, but DiBiase pulling him up. Hip heist, hip lock, hip heist, and right into a arm bar, and DiBiase showing that he's still got that form that made him the North American champion. Of course, Bob Roop is a wanted man. Paul Orndorff wants him, and Paul Orndorff will be back here in 2 weeks. Paul Orndorff says, serve notice to DiBiase that he's going to lift the North American title from from Bob Roop before DiBiase has the chance. That could sure throw that title situation into a rough, tough three-way picture. You know, everywhere I travel, it's really a pleasure to get to talk to the fans and wrestling fans, and of course even the people at the television stations. I was just in Oklahoma City, Channel 34, and one of the production men stopped me there, and they said, "We're really so glad that Mid-South Wrestling is now on the air here. It's the most quality wrestling show that we've ever viewed, and the athletes are great, and we really enjoy it." And I tell you, it makes my heart really feel good to be a part of it and to see Grizzly Smith book such great matches right here on TV. This main event right here would be a main event at any arena. It's right here on television. Again, my hat's off to Grizzly Smith, and of course I'll echo your congratulations to Charlie Lay of Tampa, Florida, in his new duties as president of Mid-South. I think it's the most progressive organization in wrestling, and it's constantly enlarging its horizons and bringing matches to all the top cities that the fans are turning out in record numbers. Hammerlock. DiBiase, a determined man. Roop's got to be wondering right now. Bob Roop is a master of strategy. The credentials are there. We can't go over them. They're a matter of record. A national AAU champion from Southern Illinois University, Pan American Game champion, Olympian, good in Greco-Roman, good in freestyle, and is professional. Whether you like him or not, he's a formidable man. Great move by DiBiase, unorthodox move. Roop starting with an arm whip. DiBiase change of pace in the direction, dropped down, arm snapped him back, and now you see him pounding that hammerlock with those knee lifts. Oh, Roop goes up on that shoulder to try to get some of that pressure off that hammerlock. In amateur, you can't take the hammerlock past the 45. In pro, you can go all the way up with it. Bob Roop's trying to stick that hand back to block, and DiBiase into a reverse half Nelson. Well, Bob Roop didn't learn that in his collegiate or his amateur days of going to the hair, but it's effective. Wherever your head goes, your body's going to go, and he got out of the hold. And in pro, you got 4 seconds to break an illegal hold. But Bob Roop is really backpedaling there, and that arm is starting to bother him as DiBiase keeps up the attack, a methodical attack for a man so emotional over what's happened to him, which may be very, very smart. You'd think that DiBiase would be so mad that he'd go out there and maybe get carried away into a scattergun situation. But he's very, very methodical about what he's doing. He wants to beat Bob Roop. He knows he has to beat him in a non-title match, or Roop will refuse to meet him in a title match. And Bob Roop also, to show you how high the stakes are, knows if he can beat DiBiase here or to just keep DiBiase from beating him, that he won't have to grant him that title match. A pursued man, Bob Roop, by both DiBiase and Paul Orndorff. Orndorff, his former partner, the man that Roop would design it, but Orndorff would execute it. Step over toe hold, puts the pressure on the joint, on the knee joint. That's putting it sideways against its natural leverage or the hinge of the joint of the knee. That can be really painful, and that's on that right leg that was injured. So Bob Roop knows that coming back off of stretched ligaments, if he can re-injure that knee, it's certainly a point to attack. DiBiase into a wrist lock, step over, going for a key lock. No, he's coming up. Break the eyes by Roop, break DiBiase off. Introduces him to that turnbuckle. That'll bring you to a sudden stop. Makes Whiplash seem like just a game. Roop firing away now. Chopping into the neck and trapezes area of DiBiase with a wrist-type forearm. Very punishing. Crowd solidly behind Ted DiBiase. Reverse neckbreaker by Bob Roop. Roop's bringing out all stops, trying to put away the former champion. Rake off the eyes, kick with the bottom of the foot. That's legal, but as you notice, that's right over the lung area. Takes a lot of the oxygen out of you. Single leg by Roop. He's got the single leg up. DiBiase firing back. An unorthodox, unbalanced position to be able to fire, but DiBiase managed to break him loose of it. Roop double leg dive, but Roop's backing out of the ring. He's going to take DiBiase, trying to re-injure that knee. He snaps it over the apron. DiBiase writhing in pain, that knee. Now Orndorff's going to the ring post. He was going to try to wrap that knee around the ring post as the one-man gang helped him do that title battle. DiBiase got away, but Orndorff's quickly in. Going for the figure four leg lock. DiBiase rolls over. Kicks free, kicked free. And DiBiase firing away. I think DiBiase's ready to throw caution to the winds because he knows that the methodical approach with Roop, that he's so knowledgeable that he's going to injure that knee. Reverse elbow, DiBiase. DiBiase sensing victory, Boyd Pierce. I think DiBiase wants a total victory, a physical breakthrough, a total dominance. Power slam! Cradle move, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2.
DiBiase wins it. Look at DiBiase. There's a man that's full of emotion. He's just come over the biggest hurdle of coming back off an injury in a non-title victory over the North American champion. The man who won the title from him, Boyd Pierce. That's so important because you got to wonder down deep with that injury. How much will it hold you back? There's Roop up, and Roop's challenged him again. DiBiase says, all right, let's just... He's got Roop's own shoulder breaker on him. He put Bob Roop's shoulder breaker to him. Count him down himself, there can be no doubt.
Only with one hand, counting with the other.
That's right. Bob Roop knows not only was he beat 1, 2, 3, he was beat physically, mentally, totally beat by Ted DiBiase.
And wrestling fans, in just a few moments, you'll hear the sound of the Marine Corps hymn, and as the strains of the halls of Montezuma fills the air, it'll signify the appearance of Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch and General Skandar Akbar had better beware. Listen for those sounds right after this word.
And now a special challenge match. This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 265 pounds from New York City, General Skandar Akbar proudly presents his new protege, Hacksaw Duggan. And at 282 pounds, from Waxahachie, Texas, Dick Murdoch.
Bill, there's the introduction of Hacksaw and then Dick Murdoch.
I'll tell you, brother, I think two immovable objects getting ready to collide out there. Dick Murdoch from West Texas State. He doesn't know when he's backing up, and neither does Hacksaw Duggan. The big Marine from Waxahachie, Texas, the man that Killer Carl Cox taught the Brainbuster to. One of the toughest international stars in the whole world. He looks like he's in a world of trouble, and Akbar's got this guy geared. He's paying this guy $1,000 to throw caution to the wind, just like he used to do on those NFL suicide squads, special teams that just go out there and try to wipe Murdoch out to pay back Murdoch for working Akbar over here a couple of weeks ago. Murdoch can't get out of that Marine Corps blouse. One thing you got to know, when that bell rings, you got to be ready to go to war. That redneck's been in some battles, I'll guarantee you, and he knows how to get it on. He'll wrestle you, he'll fight you, he'll run your races. Duggan's after him, and Akbar's encouraging him from outside. Of course, 2 weeks ago, for those of you that missed, Bob Roop was wrestling Dick Murdoch, and Akbar was scouting the match. Murdoch is out on the floor, and Akbar was jeering at him, and Murdoch got up, went over to his pack, took out a Marine Corps entrenching tool. That's what you dig those foxholes with. And he blasted Akbar, and Akbar was carried out, and he was unconscious for about 10-15 minutes back there and didn't know where he was, and he has just been boiling ever since. But I thought Reeser Bowden made a good point when he said, Akbar, with the one-man gang and Afansica, already these formidable opponents in your stable, why are you going outside and hiring other people to do your dirty work? And I think Akbar sidestepped the issue. I don't think Afansica and the one-man gang are in a big hurry to tangle with the redneck from Waxahachie, Texas. Dick Murdoch, whose father was a pro wrestler, his uncle was a professional wrestler. Went to school at West Texas State, played football. That's a college with more professional wrestlers than almost any college in the nation. Great number of professional football players. The pro wrestlers, what a tradition. Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Bobby Duncombe, Big Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody. Hacksaw Duggan is finding out that Dick Murdoch, he doesn't have to be the first one out of the blocks to be toward the end of the fight, and there Murdoch kicks him into the thigh area. Driving back into that thigh area. Give you a Charlie horse there, and when they take your wheels out from under you, I don't care what sport it is, you're in a world of trouble. Dugan sets in a three-point. He went for Murdoch. Dick got out of the way. Whoa, Akbar. Akbar reached out, tripped Dick Murdoch. Akbar from the outside tripped Murdoch, but Murdoch got out of it as Dugan went for the coup de grace. Murdoch dropped that elbow on Big Dugan, driving it in there. And Murdoch going for the brainbuster. Look at him horse up that big monster. And he just drilled him. And Dugan got his welcome to pro wrestling. You can be a star in the National Football League. It doesn't necessarily make you a star in pro wrestling. And Murdoch's going into his Marine Corps backpack. Look, he's getting some kind of equipment out there. His back's he's got that entrenching tool.
Entrenching tool, Bill.
And he's going after Akbar. Akbar's on the run, and I don't blame him, because Murdoch will plant you with that thing. That's a steel shovel. It's all in the mouth. There he, whoa! That connected. Dugan got up. That's a credit to Dugan, is how tough he is. He got up that brainbuster. Now he's got the tool. The referee tried to stop it. He's got that touch tool. Swung at Murdoch. That shovel's loose in that ring. That shovel's loose. Akbar's going for that shovel. Murdoch knows he's got to get Akbar to get it. There, gave Akbar a little shoe leather. Watch Dugan, Diggy. There it is. I don't know if my warning helped him. I guess that's just my own emotion. But Murdoch sensed it. He caught Dugan in 1, 2, 3, and the referee gave him the fall, boy.
Gave him the fall, and he really whelmed the hacksaw with it, Bill.
Another one bit the dust. And speaking of biting the dust, we got it coming next.
Right, it'll be the Junkyard Dog and Mr. Olympia teaming up after this word from Mid-South Wrestling.
It's tag team action now for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 280 pounds from Dallas, Texas, bruiser Bob Sweetan. And his partner at 218 pounds from Memphis, Tennessee, Kelly Wayne. At 265 pounds from Tennessee, the Junkyard Dog. And his partner at 241 pounds, the Mississippi heavyweight champion, Mr. Olympia.
Record bruiser Bob Sweetan and newcomer Ken Wayne versus the Junkyard Dog and Mr. Olympia. Jack Al calls for the bell. Olympia and Wayne in the ring.
Well, boy, Pierce, it's always exciting when the Junkyard Dog comes on the line, and as he calls it thunder and lightning. His tag partner that he's developed a tremendous bond with, the masked Olympian, the Mississippi champion. So you got the best of Mississippi, the best of Louisiana. And these two young men just headlined another record crowd at the Superdome May 1st in New Orleans, Louisiana. They set attendance records all over the country. Jackson, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Biloxi, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Alexander, Houston, Beaumont, San Antonio, wherever they go, because there's one thing about it. You got two great athletes out there, two fine young men, a tremendous team, both great individual stars. The Junkyard Dog has surpassed every wrestling star, as far as I'm concerned, in the country as the top young athlete in the business today. You've got the international stars like Dick Murdoch, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, former world's champion. The man that's on the lips of everyone as the upcomer, the heir to the throne, more or less, is that man you're watching right there, the Junkyard Dog, and that bruiser Bob Sweetan, one of the toughest wrestlers in wrestling, one former Brass Knucks champion. And I can personally testify to how rough and tough he is, because I had many a match with him. He's out there, and he asked to be in this tag match because he's going to wrestle the Junkyard Dog right here next week for the Louisiana title. And Sweetan's the kind of guy that's going to get in and check the water and see just how cold or how muddy it is, and to try to pick a weakness, something that he can do to the Junkyard Dog. Sleeper. Olympia's got the sleeper on Ken Wayne. Sweetan came in and tried to Pearl Harbor Olympia, but that shows how quick he is. He dropped it, and then Ken Wayne was going to sneak up behind him and Pearl Harbor him, and he got clotheslined. The Junkyard Dog like to took his head right off, boy. That's why that team is so great and so exciting. That kind of victory, a home run at any moment.
It really was, and we'll be back after this word from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 454 pounds, General Skandor Akbar proudly presents his one-man gang. And in the blue corner at 234 pounds from Pango Pango, Coco Samoa.
The big 454-pound one-man gang against Coco Samoa. Bill, next week now, it'll be the one-man gang in a team match, and his partner will be the Masked Assassin, their opponent, the the Big Cat Ernie Ladd and Mike Sharp. So really a battle. That's next week here on Mid-South.
Boy, Pierce, I sure don't want to miss that one. And you'll have one of the finest young men in wrestling, Ted DiBiase, former North American champion, as your guest commentator. And I'm sure Ted is going to have some insight to lend, and I'm sure you're going to explore just how he's felt this 6 weeks with this injury. A one-man gang, a man who has yet to be defeated in a one-on-one match. Got a lot of top guys trying to find that weakness. The Junkyard Dog, Dick Murdoch, Ernie Ladd, and Ted DiBiase are all looking. And they're all searching, and they're all testing, and they're all probing him. But they haven't found it yet. And you look at this Coco Samoa, he's a big, tough athlete. Coco Samoa is a much better than average professional. And the one-man gang's got him picked up just like a little rag doll. When you give away 100 pounds in body weight, as the dog has to do, dog weigh about 240 and the one-man gang 450, Murdoch about 260, DiBiase about 250. That's a lot of weight to give away. Even Big Ernie Ladd, 320 pounds. This man outweighs him 130 pounds. It's just an awesome thing. When you look at the body tone, he doesn't have the physique of a bodybuilder or anything else, but they've got that tremendous strength just from carrying their own weight around, and when they drop that mass on you, it just is an awesome thing. And when they hit you, it doesn't even have to be a real crisp shot. It doesn't have to have the snap of a boxer. When it's got that weight behind you, it just numbs you and shocks you. So he is a very, very formidable opponent. Wow, he liked to slam Coco Samoa clear through the mat. Akbar's got a tough one there. 454 pounds just dropping down. That's it.
And another victory for the big man in the stable of Skandar Akbar, the one-man gang. We still have time remaining, and you know on Mid-South Wrestling, we bring you action instead of talk, so we'll be back with another match after this word from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.
This event is for one fall or remaining television time. In the red corner at 246 pounds, former North American heavyweight champion, The Grappler. And in the blue corner at 234 pounds, from Richmond, Virginia, Buddy Landel.
Action continues now. The masked grappler with the long black tights and the familiar silver and black mask versus young Buddy Landel.
Should be a real well-matched bout. Buddy Landel, one of the top young stars coming up, but he's against a man that knows it. He's against a man that has tremendous wrestling ability, former North American champion, The Grappler. Oh, Grappler clotheslined him there. Of course, The Grappler, wow, Grappler got a little too confident himself, and he's the man that's after Ted DiBiase. He says Ted DiBiase is responsible for him having to wear the orthopedic boot. Boy, I think that orthopedic boot has got a little more that meets the eye. I think it's more of a weapon than a crutch. Right into the breadbasket. Solar plexus. Buddy Landel using that speed, but the Grappler found a way to clip his wings right then. Oh. You know, this man is an amazing man, the Grappler. He's very proud of the name, the Grappler. Says when you're one of the best in wrestling, that's what they call you, the Grappler. It's a name that's respected by his opponents.
Bill, the grappler with a doctor's certificate. That means that he can wear that built-up shoe, but in my own mind, I kind of have it made up. And I know a lot of fans on television the same way, but it's legal regardless of what we think.
Certainly is. Crossbody block by Landel. 1-2. Landel trying for that fall. Buddy Landel knows what a feather in his cap would be for him to beat the Grappler. This time limit remaining bout. 2 minutes television time remaining at this point. Both these men, this is the great thing about the matches Grizzly Smith puts on here. He cuts down those time limits, and they know that if they don't make something happen, it's going to be a draw. So they really thought the stop, so they take a lot of chances. They can't be defensive in this posture. They got to have the offense going. Landel trying for the brain buster, but the Grappler blocks it. Turn it into a reverse neck breaker, Boyd Pierce. Grappler just wraps up another one, and that's why they call him the Grappler. He will stop Landell's offensive move, countered it, and took it offense himself and counted it for a fall. 1, 2, 3.
Here's a victory for the Grappler, Bill. We don't have time for another match. We do want to tell you that next week, exciting matches following coming right on up. The Louisiana heavyweight title will be on the line. The Junkyard Dog versus rugged bruiser Bob Sweetan.
That'll be a battle, boy. That certainly will. Sweetan was a former Brass Knucks champion and one of the most rugged competitors in the Mid-South area. Junkyard Dog, the living legend already, the Louisiana state champion. Should be a great one. And you got another big tag match.
Special tag team title bout. The one-man gang and the assassin versus the Big Cat Ernie Ladd and Canada's top athlete Mike Sharp.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot in there because Ernie Ladd has a score to settle with both those men. The one-man gang is the man that came in on the double cross and caused him to have knee surgery. And the assassin then double crossed him. So Ernie Ladd's got a mission, and he's got Iron Mike Sharp, a stalwart that he teamed with formerly in Atlanta. So next week could certainly be a formidable card, and Ted DiBiase being your guest commentator, it should be exciting. I want to thank all the fans for having us in their homes again today. It's been my pleasure being here with you, Boyd.
Thank you, Bill, and Boyd Pierce. Goodbye, everybody, till next week on Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.